of the braking system. The parking brake is engaged and disengaged by a simple push-pull device again. So the steps to go through, whenever you're inside the apparatus, the first thing you should do with anything, whenever you're doing anything with the apparatus on the inside, have your foot placed firmly on the brake pedal. That ensures that, number one, you are engaging the brake system. Okay? Whenever you're engaging, you make sure that you have enough air on board and nothing's alarming at you. There's going to be an alert on the apparatus if you don't have a sufficient amount. When you're releasing the parking brake, air pressure to the brake pedal, choose the direction of travel of which you want to travel. If you want to go in reverse or if you want to go to drive. Okay? Keep your foot on the brake pedal, and then you depress the emergency brake. You push it in. Okay? You are now ready to move. Slowly take your foot off the brake pedal, and you will move in whatever direction that you have chosen to move. To engage the parking brake, it is the other direction. Now you are, again, starting with the step of pushing your foot down on the brake pedal, putting the apparatus in neutral, and pulling out on the yellow switch. Once you've done that, the air brakes or the emergency brakes or the parking brakes will all engage, and you will be in a stop position and you will not move, as long as you are not in gear and your stuff is maintained correctly. Alright? It's important to ensure that the apparatus is in full stop to keep from any damage in the braking system. So any sudden stops that you might have, or any unintentional activation of the parking brake could result in severe injury or death. Okay? It's a heavy apparatus. The air brakes, they're equipped with with a brake pedal just like any other vehicle. The differences in the apparatus is that rather than operating under hydraulics, it's now you're working under like a pumping out system. Okay, you are working off the air that is divvied out throughout the lines. All the components act the same than most other brakes. You're pushing the brake pedal, you are coming to a slow, and then after you press harder, to a complete stop. You require a certain amount of air for the mechanism to work properly. If you do not have the right recommended amount of air, according to your gauge and according to manufacturer's recommendations, you will not be able to put the vehicle to complete stop. It will keep rolling on you. If you compress on the brake pedal too many times, you will waste air, and the air compressor will not keep up to refill your reservoir to the amount that you need. Okay? Too much air, what does that do for anything? Blows it up, right? Okay, so you have what's called a governor on there. The governor will keep you from compressing too much air into the tank. Air brakes in driving. So do the driving. During some inspections, the operator should be aware of the difference in the accelerator pedal versus the brake pedal. You want to make sure that you know which one is which. Brake pedal is usually wider. Accelerators are tall and narrow. Operators should also be aware of the reaction time, falling distance between brake conditions and road conditions. So if you have wet, icy conditions outside, make sure that you're not following someone right on their tail. Make sure that you have a good solid distance between your apparatus and their apparatus, and then make sure that you are giving yourself enough stopping distance. The tanker is heavy, it's got a lot of water behind it. Momentum is going to carry it until it wants to stop, until it can't stop. So remember that your reaction time, the braking distance, the time it takes you to put your foot to the pedal, and the time it takes for the actual apparatus to stop at full operation, full functioning operation, that all those times combined are your total stopping distance. So make sure that you guys are aware of how your apparatus is functioning. Alright, so section number 7, equipment and auxiliary equipment. Any questions so far? Any questions on air brakes and the emergency brakes? Okay, review a little bit. Yellow is your switch. Okay, push, pull, and then listen for alarms and look at your gauges often. Okay, all right. So just like any apparatus that we have out there, there's differences in what we do between dailies, weeklies, and end of the month. Okay, dailies is just to make sure that whatever's on that apparatus is that's supposed to be there is there, and that it will function like we want it to. Weekly is going to go a little bit further. You're going to want to make sure that on weekly you actually work the equipment if it is able to be worked. If that's fluids that needs checked, you check those fluids. Okay. On a monthly, you want to do a little bit more. You want to ensure the cleanliness of all this equipment. You want to make sure that the inventory is spot on. All right. So in the cab, we're going to kind differentiate between the certain parts of the apparatus. We'll start at the cab, we'll go to the driver's compartment, the rear, and then the passenger compartment. All right, makes sense? Again, we're doing it in systematical order. We started at a corner, and we're working all the way around. All right, so the cab equipment. Once you start your check, you're going to want to get inside your vehicle. You're going to make sure that if everything inside is supposed to be inside is there, and that it is operational order. So, a fuel card. Is there anything that you guys check with a fuel card?
Expiration.
Expiration date, okay. You want to make sure it's there, obviously, okay. How many fuel cards do we have on a tanker apparatus? Two. One is going to be for the apparatus itself, one will be for the pump, okay. There is a rhyme and a reason for this. Number one, there are different types of fuels, and number two is because we want to make sure we're gauging and documenting how much fuel usage we're using for one type of fuel compared to the other, okay. Make sense? All right. Then we have multiple map books. We have a Jasco map book, a Newton County map book, and a Trailer Park map book. What color, or usually what color is the Jasco map books? Blues, okay. Newton County is usually that kind of ugly beige color. The Reddings Mill one is going to be yellow, and then your Trailer Park is going to be labeled a Trailer Park one. Okay. We have a hand light. Always comes in handy, right? You know, you're a man in the fire service or a woman in the fire service, you're always going to have that fun little pin light on you, but it doesn't hurt to have another flashlight in the truck with you to assist in seeing at nighttime operations. A door opener, okay? Any apparatus, that's what you're looking at the top. Some are pre-programmed, ours are not, okay? We have not come that far in technology, ours are old door openers, okay? Insurance card, obvious reasons. If you get an incident or for any reason we need to trade insurance information with somebody, state law says you have to have an insurance card inside your vehicle or some proof of insurance inside your vehicle, okay? And then an ERG, which stands for? Okay. Is there a chance that a tanker apparatus could possibly respond to a hazmat incident?
Yes.
Okay, so any fire apparatus that you have has that opportunity of responding to a hazmat incident. Therefore, an ERG is your first 5 minutes on scene of a hazmat incident. That'll get you by. All right, any questions on the cab? What are some other things that you need to do in the cab to make sure that it's good for you as the driver, personally? What? Clean it, okay, dust it up.
Make sure your seat's in the right
Okay.
position.
All right, so tall, in and out, maybe steering wheel if it hasn't adjusted to it, okay? Switches, make sure everything's mirrors, okay? That's perfect. A lot of people don't adjust their mirrors until that first call comes out. So sometimes it's a good idea because, again, no one is built the same. Hop in that apparatus, sit in the driver's seat, make sure you can see wherever you want to see, okay? Switches, making sure that all the switches are in the off position so you're not running down the road emergency by accident, okay? Maybe even switch on that radio, the mobile radio, make sure it comes on, okay? There have been times on certain apparatus where we've had to give a little bump to the engine to make sure that it starts because we've had battery issues, okay? I'm not saying you need to do that every day, but every so often, could it hurt? Okay? Alright. Alright, moving on to the driver's side compartment. I will say that a lot of stuff on the tanker apparatus does not get used very often, okay? That being said, 5 traffic cones, it may be excessive for the things that we actually do with the tanker. You won't necessarily use all 5 traffic cones every single time, okay? But they are on there for a reason because we have found in the past that we have needed something like that to assist the driver in performing some certain tasks, okay? So what are some things that the traffic cones could possibly use for on a tanker?
Protect our hose.
Okay? So other people on the road don't know that they're not supposed to run over the hose. So if we put traffic cones on either side of the hose, that tells them, stay away. Cones are universal, right? It's kind of a universal language. Stay away, don't trespass, don't come through, or follow this path, correct? Okay? Other things, maybe just for the driver, what does it help